Hey everybody, welcome back to another action-packed, exciting episode of Scotty's Record Shop. And on this particular video, we're going to look at the studio discography of Queen. We're going to rank them. I'm going to rank them. You can rank them too if you want to. Before we get into that, I want to say hello to our new subscribers. Every video we seem to be getting a couple of new subscribers, just a couple, and that's okay with me because, as I always say in every single video, I appreciate each and every one of you. I really sincerely do. Okay, so Queen's studio discography. There's one album that I have in a digital format, not a CD, but it's in my computer over there. And it's towards the bottom. Queen, an interesting group, wonderful group, absolutely love them, and then they betrayed me. We'll get to that right at the top. Oy vey. Anyway, so let's start off ranking these. And by the way, if you don't agree with me, this is my opinion. This is how I feel. It's all good. If you don't agree with me, that's awesome. A lot of people love the 80s stuff is a little lower on my list in some cases, in most cases. And if you love that 80s stuff, that is absolutely honestly wonderful. Let me know in the comments, what are your top 5 or top 10 Queen LPs. Okay, so let's start off. We're going to go to 1981. This is at the bottom of a lot of people's list. And I remember when Flash came out in 1980, I was like, okay, the single's really cool. Bought the album. It's like, okay, it's kind of but it's a soundtrack album. I'm going to give you guys a little grace on this one. It's a soundtrack album. And then Under Pressure, the single Under Pressure came out, and I thought, okay, we're cool. We're really cool. David Bowie, and this is really good. And then we got Hot Space. And I bought this. Like a lot of other people, and my thought, even halfway through side 1, was, what the hell happened to this band? And even the surviving members of Queen are like, this album, this was Freddie really taking over. And how did Brian May sound like? He said it sounded like dance music in a gay bar, which is pretty much where Freddie was. That was his world at the time. So he wanted to make that kind of music, and he did. There's a couple of good songs on here. Under Pressure's great, but overall, I was very disappointed with this album, as a lot of other people were. It's just kind of So at the bottom for me, Hot Space from 1981, I believe. Next one in line, we get the before mentioned Flash. It's a soundtrack album, so it's it is what it is. It's the single was great. I thought the single was great. I don't remember seeing the movie though. If I saw it, it wasn't too good because it's not memorable. I don't remember seeing it. I really never play this. Honestly, I play the single. I have the single, and I play that. So this is second to the bottom. The next one is the one that is over there in the computer, and that is Made in Heaven. And in all fairness, this was not a planned necessarily album. This was stuff left over from Freddie, and the band just decided to go in and finish it. I give them a lot of credit for that, but there's some good stuff on it, but it just has that feeling of being unfinished for me, I guess, which is totally understandable because it wasn't finished. It would have been really interesting if Freddie would have lived a little longer, what he would have done. So, Made in Heaven is where it is. Okay, so we got through the shock and the disappointment of Hot Space, and we had hopes. Some of us here by 1972, 73. Queen's popularity in America, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America it kind of started to wane a little bit. I mean, they were getting stuff played on the radio, but when I heard this next single, and a lot of people, especially in the UK, loved the next single that came from this next album, I thought, And I've tried to like it. I just the album, A Kind of Magic. It is a step up from Hot Space and obviously, from Flash. But I don't find myself, other than a few songs on here, really listening to it. Radio Gaga, I just can't. I can't do it. I'm sorry, I just don't. I hate that song. The underlying theme of it is wonderful, but the song itself, it's just this. I don't know. It's just. But again, I know people in the UK are just like, this is great. When they played it at Live Aid, it was unbelievable, and it was okay. Okay. But this is where it is for me. Okay? Okay. When I heard the lead single for this one, I was like, all right, this is going to be a killer rock and roll album. We're going back to the 70s again. This is awesome. And it just kind of, it's not a bad album, but it just, again, just kind of doesn't do it for me. End of the 90s, end of the 80s, I mean, here. Miracle, or The Miracle. I respect this album because at the time they were recording this, they really didn't know if Freddie was going to even make it through. That's why they called it The Miracle, because it was a miracle that poor guy made it through this. And he actually made it through another album, which I think is far better. We're going to get to that. I Want It All. When I heard I Want It All, I was like, this rips. This is a great song. The album version on here is great as well. There's a couple of other really good songs on here again. Blah, 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 blah. We've been saying this, but this is, for me, it's just another 80s Queen album. Loved by a lot of people, I'm sure, but this is just, I'm a 70s Queen guy. It just is what it is. So anyway, The Miracle. From 89, I believe. Yes, 89. This one, I think out of all of the 80s stuff, I think this is my, as a matter of fact, let's see here. Yeah, this is the last 80s album. This is my favorite 80s album out of all, and it's not that bad, I guess. Not that bad. I'm talking about The Works. Not a bad album. A little bit more rocking. I like the rocking Queen. I didn't like the heavily synthesized dance, although there's some of that all over the 80s. I mean, on every album. But this for me seemed, I like this one a little bit more, The Works. This is what, 85, 86, something like that, right? 86 maybe? Something like that. The Works by Queen. The next album, I thought this was a pretty damn good album. Now we're getting into pretty damn good albums, and I'm glad that with Freddie alive, I'm glad that they ended the way that they did, and that was with Innuendo. This is a pretty damn good album. I like this album. Overall, I think it's a really, really good album. I know that Freddie was really struggling on this album, and you wouldn't know, the show must go on. He just nails it, knowing that he was in so much pain, that he was drinking and all kinds of other stuff just so he could kill the physical pain so that he could sing. And he did. He gave everything on this album. And I think it shows, and I think it's I don't, like I said, Made in Heaven, that was an album that's a posthumous album. I know it's their last album with him. I view this as the last album with him because he was aware, he was there, he approved of this, and I think that it was a pretty damn good way for Queen to leave the scene and for Freddie to leave his legacy. I think it's a pretty darn good album. Okay, now we go from their last album, Innuendo, to their first album, 1973's Queen. Not Queen 1. Don't get me going on that redo. Okay. Queen One. This is a really, really good album. Some people complain about the sound of it and stuff. I think it's it's a tight sounding album. Yes, it was recorded in 1973. This, if you notice, has a promotional copy here. Can you see that? Yes, you can see that. And just so you know, this is an American promotional copy. If you want to know what the promotional Electra label looked like, there it is. Picked this up in the mid 80s for dirt cheap nuggets in Boston. I picked actually this up and Queen 2, which was also a promo, both for $3. I believe it was $3 for a promotional. You're not paying $3 for a close to mint copy of this now. It's not happening, but back 40 years ago, yeah. Good album, really good album. Liar is a great song. Of course, Keep Yourself Alive is a great song. Jesus is on here. Yeah, it is. It's a good opening album. Introduction to Queen. We in America really didn't know about this album. I don't remember hearing Keep Yourself Alive in 73 at all. I don't know if it got any airplay here in America. I don't know about the UK. But this album kind of went unnoticed for us. Okay, coming up next is their second album, which I believe has the price tag. Yes, it does. $3.99. That's what it was. And this is a promo copy as well of the second album by Queen. Queen 2, more of a concept album. Black Queen one side, White Queen the other side. This is the first album, even though it didn't get a lot of airplay here in America. No real hits here in America on this. But they started touring America, and they actually came to Maine, the state that I live in. They came to, and they were supporting, they were opening for Mott the Hoople, if my memory serves me correctly. That's who they opened for. They were supporting Mott on that tour. And people found out about Queen. And people went back and they started to buy the first Queen album. And they started requesting Keep Yourself Alive in 74, early 75. So that's how that kind of, the touring really brought them to America. They toured, and like I said, radio could care less at that time. So anyway, Queen 2, I like it just a little bit more than the first Queen album. It's a good album. Some people think these are great albums. I don't think they're great albums. I think they're good albums. Good albums. We're getting to the great albums. This is a good album, though. The follow-up to A Night at the Opera, A Day at the Races. Some great stuff. Tie Your Mother Down. Opening up with Tie Your Mother Down. Wow. Almost a great album. There's a few things on here that I find to be clunkers. But overall, and this is really... They really were milking the Night at the Opera theme. You know what I mean? It's a similar cover. Some people claim that Somebody to Love is kind of a rehash. This is what some people claim. It's kind of a rehash of Bohemian Rhapsody. Other than the opening, I don't see that necessarily. It's certainly not a multi-part piece like Bohemian Rhapsody was, and it's a great song, and it sold well here in America, and primarily that song and Tie Your Mother Down got a lot, especially Tie Your Mother Down, got a lot of play on FM radio here in America in '76, and it's a good album. It's a good album. There's a couple songs on here that I'm like, okay, yeah, they're okay, but they're not classic. But overall, a good album. A Day at the Races, 1976. Some people would kill me for putting this one, actually the next two above it, but I just like them better. Okay. Jazz. I like jazz. There were of course, the lead single, Bicycle Race, backed by Fat Bottom Girls, with that very interesting 45 sleeve. I do not know if this is my original copy, I believe, and I don't think I have the poster anymore for this, but the poster inside was kind of interesting as well. Some great stuff on here. Don't Stop Me Now got a lot of play here in America. I think that it was a single. I don't think it was a huge hit, but it got a lot of play here up on the stations here in Maine. It was a good song. I think this is a good album. I think it part because this is the time when I was really starting to buy my own albums. You know, I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, whatever I was, 14, whatever I was at the time. So I was buying my own albums, and I was really connecting with them and spending a lot of time with them. It wasn't just being what I was hearing on the radio, and I just really like this album, Jazz. The end of 78, I believe this came out. Okay. Continuing on, I really like this album. Some people feel indifferent about it. I think Queen was really making headway in America chart-wise. They got 2 number 1 hit singles off this album. I'm talking about The Game, 1980. This, first of all, is wonderful, sonically a wonderful sounding album. The American pressing, I think, is even better than the UK pressing, or the Japanese pressing. I just like this. The sounding of this. Another one of these albums that I bought when it first came out. Trying to think how this went. Crazy Little Thing Called Love came out. We didn't get this album for a while, and then they released Another One Bites the Dust, and I was like, okay, 2 really good songs. Let's go buy this album. And it was just a great Dragon Attack. What's on here? Sail Away, Sweet Sister, Save Me. What a great song. And you know what? Some people really, and it didn't sell really well here in America, but the title track was released as a single, The Game. I love that song. Absolutely love that song. And it just didn't do that well here in America, but a great song, and it's a shiny album, so it's kind of, you get that sheen there it is. But anyway, The Game. We have how many more records here left? We have three. So this is my 4th favorite Queen LP, 1980, The Game. My 3rd favorite album, I think this was probably the first Queen album that I bought personally. We had Queen albums. My brother was really into Queen. He introduced me to Queen, actually. So, but this is the first one I bought, and I love this album. News of the World, 1977. As a matter of fact, they opened their world tour, News of the World World Tour. There's a mouthful. In Portland, Maine, which is nowhere. Not at Wembley Stadium, not at the LA Forum, not at Madison Square Gardens. They opened it at a little 7,000 seat ice arena in Portland, Maine. And it was actually the very first time that, I believe it was the very first time that We Will Rock You / We Are the Champions was played live. Was in Portland, Maine. So there's a little shout out to my home state here. This is again just a fantastic album. Spread Your Wings. Although it may have been a single in the UK, it was actually the live version of Spread Your Wings was on the B-side of Crazy Little Thing Called Love here in America, the live version, which is really good too. It's a John Deacon penned song. One of my favorite Queen songs of all time. Spread Your Wings. It's on here. Get Down, Make Love. Killer Queen, which should have been probably on the Killer Queen album. Very punky sounding. Just a wonderful album. Love this album. It's 3rd favorite album by Queen, 1977. Okay, number 2. This is where I'm going to show some different pressings here, or I have non-US pressings, primarily because of sound quality. This next album was the first album that my brother bought that I really got turned on to. by Queen. It was in 1975, early 75. They came actually to my hometown. Here there was a package tour with Queen, Kansas, Mahogany Rush, and I think Styx was supposed to play that gig, but they didn't for some reason. A lot of friends went to that show, including my brother. But he bought this album, not this one, because it's a Japanese pressing, first issue Japanese pressing of Sheer Heart Attack. I adore this album. There's only one song on here that is not. If it wasn't for one song, this would be an absolutely, completely perfect album. Side one is just freaking knockout. I like the original Japanese pressing sounding. Don't always necessarily like Japanese pressing sounding or Japanese pressings sound because they kind of scoop out the lows a little bit and kind of increase the highs a little bit in the mids. They have a lot more. You can hear more. It's just with their pressings. But if you like bottom, they don't have bottom. This has a fairly good amount of bottom too. And I have a. What do I have? I have the U.S., my original U.S. pressing. I think I have a German pressing as well. And I believe I have a U.K. pressing as well, first U.K. pressing. But this is the one that when I want to hear it, the vinyl is so quiet, too. I love this album. My second favorite album by Queen, 1974, Sheer Heart Attack. And you know what's left? Oops, sorry. You know what's left? It's everybody's, well, no, it's not everybody's favorite, but it is what it is. This album blew my mind when I first heard it. My mother even liked this album. She didn't like Death on Two Legs because it said some naughty words. But A Night at the Opera, 1975. This is it. This is the height of what Queen was. This is everything that was good about Queen. We can argue about the overplayed Bohemian Rhapsody, and it is so overplayed. But the cool thing about Bohemian Rhapsody is it's been reissued and it's become a hit over and over again, so that even young kids know about this album and they dig this album. This is an original first pressing UK. First pressing. In America, we just got the Elektra Butterfly label for the first pressing. In the UK, they've got this wonderful, pretty custom label. Another thing about this album that's really kind of cool is this. Nope, I'm going to pull up the right thing, kids. Yes, right here, which is the original inner sleeve. We didn't get this in America either. The original inner sleeve for this. Just a fantastic album. I think, in personal opinion, and I have more than one copy of this. I've heard, 3 or 4 copies. I find that the first pressing UK of this is the best sounding copy. And it's not super hard to get. Maybe a little hard to get in really good condition. This is in really, really good condition. The cover, it's a white cover. It's hard to find a perfectly perfect album. This has some browning around the edges and stuff, but overall is in nice shape. I was very happy to find this. So anyway, my favorite Queen album of all time, and maybe yours too, A Night at the Opera, 1975. Alrighty, kiddies. Thank you for sitting through this silliness. Please like. Please subscribe. Please share with your friends. Share with your enemies. Let everybody know that Scotty's Record Shop is back in town and in business. Alrighty, kids? Alright, till next time, everybody. Peace and love.